Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
We check in on the dynamic duo that is Josh Gordon and Johnny Manziel.
Plus, we judge the Los Angeles Rams draft pick trades, and our experts look at Manning, Jeter, and Kobe's retirement.
And we dream about what it would be like to be part of the OVO crew.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts
right now.
Welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm Stephen Harris.
And I'm Connor Delpreet. Philadelphia Flyers fans showered the ice with giveaway wristbands after the Washington Capitals began to score goals rapidly in the third period of last night's game, leading the PA announcer asking the crowd to, quote, show some class. Well, that's like telling a dog to walk on two legs. It just doesn't happen. Here's your starting five.
In the final game of the Mamba's career, Kobe Bryant put on one final show at the Staples Center and dropped 60 points in the Lakers' comeback win over the Utah Jazz. Kobe's 60 points became a new record for any player in their final game. With the 5 championship rings, 2 scoring titles, and 1 MVP award, Connor, where does Kobe rank all time in the NBA?
I think Kobe Bryant is a great player, but I'd put him right around the fringe of top 10, and this is why. There were so many great players that came before him. It's hard for me to put him anywhere below top 10. His issue with me was shooting. He led the league in field goals attempted many times, but he rarely led it in field goals made. So that tells you he missed a lot of shots.
He set the record for most field goals missed in a career.
Exactly. So that tells you something. That's something that I have against Kobe.
See, I got to rank him the second best Laker of all time, and he's definitely a top 10 player. A lot of great Lakers have come in and out. That's not going to be denial. And again, you talk about the field goal percentages, and also the fact that those first 3 championship rings were kind of carried by Shaq, so it kind of holds them back a little bit. I mean, he's close to Lil Mikey, not quite at Mike's level quite yet, in my opinion.
And there are just some players that have really changed the game that come before him. Magic Johnson changed what it meant to be a point guard. Larry Bird, frankly, changed what it meant to be a white basketball player in the NBA with his shooting.
And frankly, Michael Jordan changed what it meant to be a shooting guard, not Kobe Bryant.
Kobe didn't really change
He just kind of emulated what Lil Mikey did.
Exactly. While the playoffs have captivated the attention of NBA fans for the past week, the regular season left 2 teams with question marks going into the offseason, as Kings coach George Karl and Wizards coach Randy Whitman were fired. So who should the Wizards and the Kings look to replace them?
I think the Kings need someone a little bit stable. Their front office is in flux. I mean, nobody wants to go there because there's way too much going on. What's going to happen with DeMarcus Cousins? Is Rajon Rondo staying? Can they figure out anything? So they need someone stable, someone proven, someone like a JVG, a little Jeff Van Gundy. I think the Wizards just need someone who can win, because their biggest problem is that they just can't get over a hump. They have all these unproven coaches that are successful, relatively so, but they just can't get over the hump. So they need someone who knows how to win, someone like a Luke Walton. If they can rope Luke Walton away from Golden State, I know the Knicks are struggling with that. But they need someone like that.
See, I don't know if Luke Walton's the answer for the Wizards, though. When you look at the Wizards, you want a proven winner. Scott Brooks is that proven winner. Luke Walton has had 1 year of proven winning with a team that frankly just can't lose. Scott Brooks had the Thunder at peak performance for like 4 years going to the playoffs. He knows how to win, and the Wizards could really lure Kevin Durant with Scott Brooks, I think.
The thing you need someone with the Wizards is that Luke Walton, he might not have been winning as a coach, but he knows what it takes to win as a player because he's seen it done. He was on those Kobe teams. He knows what winning looks like. He knows what winning culture looks like. Scott Brooks, again, they took him to the finals at one time, but again, he's just another coach that couldn't get over the hump, and that's what got him fired.
And with the Kings, real quickly, I would do Tom Thibodeau. This is a guy who knows how to work with big men like he did in Chicago, so he would be able to do that with DeMarcus Cousins and with great point guards like Rajon Rondo and Derrick Rose.
Exactly. Somebody. Coming as no surprise to anyone, new roomies Josh Gordon and Johnny Manziel have already gotten themselves in some trouble. Gordon recently failed another drug test, resulting in his request of reinstatement being denied. And Manziel caused nearly $20,000 of damage to a home that he rented in LA earlier this month. So with all the trouble these two cause, can they ever get their acts together and get back into the NFL?
Small chance, Stephen. Very small chance. I'm under the belief that if players are good enough, the NFL is going to look over previous transgressions. But it's getting harder and harder for me to stand by this statement when you look at what these guys do. This is blatant disregard for what is right and to learn from their mistakes. Josh Gordon, come on, man. You have so much talent. You are so blessed to be in this opportunity, and you keep failing drug tests.
And that's why I say Josh Gordon, he's done.
He's out. And Johnny
He had a year to get it together. He had a whole year to get his act together, and right before he proved that he was ready to come back, fails. Johnny Manziel is freshly new to the world of being an outcast. Josh Gordon had so much time to get it together and didn't, and still isn't.
And that's very
frustrating.
frustrating.
So I give Johnny Manziel that smidge of hope I don't give Josh Gordon any
Right.
hope.
I think Johnny Manziel is a guy who you can see his life deteriorating, but he could still pull it together. The Rams are going back to Cali. But recently, the new Los Angeles NFL team made headlines by trading 6 draft picks, including their first rounders for this year and next year, to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for the #1 overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft. Did the Rams overpay to move up in this draft?
So I'm liking this little draft because it's a little bit of California love. However, I don't like this move because you think they would have learned. They're the ones who pulled off this burn on the Redskins by trading their pick for all these draft picks. So they know the repercussions of this. So I'm calling it a little bit questionable. It's definitely, I think they're the inventors of this move and they did it to themselves.
I think it's questionable that you're writing this off so quickly. I mean, if this pays off, why would it be an overpayment? I'm not saying that they didn't give up a lot. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying if they get a franchise QB, the Carson Wentz or the Jared Goff that they believe could be the face of their new franchise, it's invaluable. Quarterbacks.
But the Redskins thought the same thing with Robert Griffin III, and now he's in Cleveland of all places.
But until we see the quarterback fail and get traded or something like what RG3 happened, we can't say they gave up too much.
I'm the opposite. Until we see the QB prove himself, I'm saying this is an overpayment.
All right.
The LA Kings and Philadelphia Flyers are both currently down 2-0 in their series to the Sharks and Capitals, respectively. However, both teams have previously overcome 3-0 playoff deficits. So the question I raise to you, Connor, is can they overcome this deficit?
Kings, absolutely. Absolutely the Kings. Look, they had a triple overtime thriller last night that shows they have the guts to pull out a big victory in the playoffs, which they've done in the past. You look at this team, another team from California, the San Francisco Giants. It's even years all the time for them to win World Series. Well, the Kings won it in 2012. They won it in 2014. This is a team that can really pull it out. But when I look at these Flyers against the Washington Capitals, down 3-0, Ovechkin is entirely too good. He has 3 goals already. He's on fire. Braden Holtby's another guy that's on fire. I don't see the Flyers coming back.
I mean, one thing we learned with the Sharks is that they prove year after year that anything is possible. They've
Right.
been the 1 seed, they've been the 2 seed, they've been the 3 seed, and just can't ever seem to get past the first round. And plus, we learned with the Kings that anything is possible with them. So the Kings could easily come back against the Sharks because the Sharks are just the least proven winners ever. They're great in the regular season, they're terrible in the playoffs. The Flyers, I got to give it a little bit of weight because you said it yourself. I mean, Washington's just been dominating them, and we saw that game last night where they're throwing these bands, and it's ugly out there in Philly, and it makes me sad. But it just is.
That's all the time we have for the starting 5, but don't go anywhere as Steven will discuss the WNBA offseason with our basketball expert.
The WNBA draft was last week, setting in motion curiosity over what's next for the association. I'm here with Mason Stauf, and he's here to answer the biggest questions surrounding the league this year. Mason, first, we're going to talk about, since we're talking about the draft, tell me who improved the most after the draft.
Well, Seattle won because they got Breanna Stewart, but the team that won the most from this draft was certainly the Connecticut Sun. This is a team that hasn't made the playoffs any of the last 3 years under Ann Donovan. They get rid of Ann Donovan, bring in Kurt Miller, and then they get the 3, the 4, and then they trade with the LA Sparks to get the 6th pick in the draft. They get Morgan Tuck, who can play a stretch 4. She can play the little bit of the 3, but she's going to be a great counterpart to Shanae Ogwumike. You bring in Rachel Banham out of Minnesota with the number 4 pick, who's a proven scorer. We know that she can score from anywhere on the floor. Then you get Jonquel Jones with the 6th pick, a player that was fantastic out of George Washington. Most people don't know about her, but she's 6'6", and she'll be a great backup to Shanae Ogwumike, who's coming back from injury.
So it sounds to me what you're saying is that the women's basketball gods seem to just shine on the state of Connecticut is more or less what you're telling me.
Just this year. I mean, they fired Mike Tebow 3 years ago because they didn't think he was doing a good enough job winning championships, and Ann Donovan didn't even bring him to the playoffs. So this is the first time in the last couple of years where Connecticut is really a good professional sports town as far as basketball goes. Everything's UConn College, but not so much the WNBA.
So with all these moves, do you give them any kind of title hopes? And if not, then who's your pick to win the title?
Well, I think they're going to make the playoffs this year, certainly. But I still think that the team to beat this year, with Diana Taurasi coming back from Russia after having won another title for her team over in Moscow, I think the Phoenix Mercury are the favorites yet again. They won it a couple of years ago. Then Diana Taurasi left to go play a year in Russia, where they paid her $1 million not to play last year. And that was Maya Moore in Minnesota's time to shine, where they took their second of the last 3 years. But now with Diana Taurasi back, I think they got a steal with the number 8 pick in the draft, bringing in Courtney Williams out of South Florida. Then, of course, you still got DeWanna Bonner, Candace Dupree, and, of course, the ever-present Brittany Griner. I think that it's going to be Phoenix and Minnesota, again, when it comes down to it. One of those two teams is going to win. But Connecticut's going to threaten out of the East. But I still think it's Diana Taurasi, DT3's time to shine.
So what's your most interesting storyline to follow and watch this whole year?
I think you have to go over and look at what Seattle has done. Now, Seattle was absolutely horrendous last year, even though they had the top pick of the draft, which they took Jewell Loyd. But now you bring in Breanna Stewart, and it's going to be interesting to me to see the dynamic between Breanna Stewart, this year's #1 pick, and arguably one of the greatest players ever to come out of the college game, Jewell Loyd, last year's #1 pick, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, who I think is one of the most pure shooters in the game, and of course the veteran Sue Bird. When you look at how these players are going to play, I don't know how they're going to play together because Jewell Loyd has never actually had to really share the ball. It's always been her in the center of attention. Now you bring in Breanna Stewart, she's going to want to be the center of attention, and she should be the center of attention because of how talented she is. Jewell Loyd's going to have to learn how to share the ball and kind of share the spotlight a little bit. At the same time, Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis has got to get open shots. I don't think that Seattle did a very good job last year kind of utilizing her talent. She didn't get as many minutes as I think she should have. She certainly didn't hoist the shots that I think she should have. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Sue Bird, as the veteran leader of that team, tries to bring all these stars together, players that were always at the top of their college game and at the top of their college team, trying to bring this team together to create a professional atmosphere and a team that Seattle wants to bring into the playoffs as a team that could win the finals in a couple of years.
So who do you think kind of comes out as top dog between Breanna Stewart and Jewell Loyd?
I think it needs to be Breanna Stewart because Jewell Loyd, we saw last year, Jewell Loyd, when everything was on her shoulders, yes, she's a rookie, and yes, she won Rookie of the Year, but I think that Kia Stokes out of New York should have won that trophy. I don't think that Jewell Loyd needs to be the center of attention. If she's open, she's going to be able to hit shots, and with all the pressure being on Breanna Stewart and all the attention being on Breanna, Jewell Loyd can shine. But I think that Breanna Stewart needs to be the person that's the go-to player on that offense.
It'll be a very interesting dynamic to see, nonetheless.
Absolutely. The past two #1 picks, how will they share the ball?
Exactly. That's all the time we have for the WNBA, but don't go anywhere as we kick it to Connor as he talks a little Champions League.
Danse, balance la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches, au bal du dimanche.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
You sure you don't want some? It's chamomile. Listen, you are extremely terrifying. Just the scariest undead subhuman thing on TV, and I really mean that. But I am worried that you could give my kids nightmares if they see you, so I'm gonna have to block you. So that's it. Oh, and tell the zombies they're blocked too.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Okay. She's gonna love me all over again. Now.
Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Welcome back to One-on-One Sports. I'm joined at the desk with our Champions League soccer experts, Connor Cummings and Jenny Berman. 4 teams remain, and we are going to look at the 2 matchups and analyze how each team can advance. So, Jenny, let's start with you. Real Madrid, a powerhouse, plays Manchester City. How is Real Madrid going to advance?
Well, they're definitely the favorite here. They're probably one of the best teams left in this competition. They have one of the best offenses with Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, and Gareth Bale. I mean, you really can't beat these guys. These are some of the best players in the world. They also have a great midfield. They have James Rodriguez. They just are a really strong team. And overall, Man City, they were kind of lucky to beat Paris Saint-Germain. And so you're looking at this team that's kind of happy to be there in a sense. And I think Real Madrid's going to wipe the floor with them.
I wouldn't knock out Man City just yet. You won't have them jumping out of the way of Cristiano Ronaldo's free kicks like Wolfsburg did in Real, the second leg against Real. Plus, you have Sergio Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, and David Silva still there. That tandem, all in double digit on points this year. And Sergio Aguero has 22 goals.
Right.
This is a team to be reckoned with.
These guys are good, but are they Cristiano, BBC level of offense there, where you have some of the most prolific goal scorers in the world? Sure, you have Aguero, but everybody else in Man City is kind of.
Where's Benzema been? Where's Bale been? It's been Cristiano Ronaldo taking that entire team forward.
Right, but then you still have the opportunity now with these guys. If they cover Cristiano Ronaldo, now you open up Benzema and Bale for more opportunities.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with both of you a little bit here. I think that Real Madrid is going to prevail in the end. They have the bigger star players, but Man City can't be written off yet with the star players they also have on their squad. So it's very interesting going forward. But next, Connor, let's start with you. Bayern Munich plays Atletico Madrid in the opposite matchup. How is Bayern Munich going to advance for you? Or Atletico Madrid, excuse me.
Bayern Munich is a team that's consistently there, and they're consistently there for a reason. They're a fantastic team. They consistently win the Bundesliga. They have one of the best teams in the world. Most of their team is on the German national team, which just won the World Cup. When you have Robert Lewandowski, Thomas Müller, and Manuel Neuer in goal, you're a hard team to beat with Pep Guardiola up front. As the coach.
The thing about Atletico is that they know that they can shut down offenses. They shut down Barcelona, which has probably the best offense in the entire world. And yes, Bayern Munich probably has one of the second or third best offenses in the world, but they can be a lazy team. They always seem to have these lapses in their defense that not even Manuel Neuer can save. And you're looking at this team and you're saying, if Atletico could shut down Barcelona, they could definitely shut down Bayern Munich and have their great counterattacks that they do with Antoine Griezmann.
I'm going to back it up with just the history that Bayern Munich has in these high-level games. Atletico doesn't have that. I think they've did very well to get this far. I don't see them making it to the final.
Yeah, I think when you look at both these teams, it's 2 completely different styles. You have Bayern Munich, who's a very high-powered attack, and then Atletico, who's going to do that counterattack and then park the bus kind of and preserve that 1-0 victory. So I think if Bayern Munich can get out early and score goals, they're going to have the advantage here, but you can never count out a team that gets 1 goal and can play such good defense in the end. And that's full time for this soccer segment. Up next, Steven sits down with our MLB experts to discuss which rebuilding teams are doing it right.
Welcome back to this edition of 101 Sports. I'm here with Elliot Whittington and Stu Semonite, and we're here to discuss some of the lowliest teams in the MLB, but with the brightest future. So Stu, I'm going to start with you. Which team in the MLB right now is kind of a bottom feeder do you think has the brightest future?
Well, I got to go with the Philadelphia Phillies. And this is a team that is 5-6 years out from repeat World Series appearances, winning the first one and then losing the second one. They have the number 3 prospect in the minor league right now in J.P. Crawford. They have a pitcher they brought up, Aaron Nola, who, sure, right now not really doing too well at the major league level, but they have other prospects down there that are ready to come, like Jake Thompson, Mike Appel, who are both tearing it up in AAA Lehigh.
I disagree because yeah, definitely because the Phillies aren't terrible. Yeah, they have some work to do. They do need rebuilding, but it's.
Well, I mean, they've been consistently going down since.
Yes, well, let's talk about a team that's just at the complete bottom, the Braves. I mean, a Braves fan can look at a Braves roster and not even know maybe one name. I mean, Freddie Freeman is the only Brave that is doing anything. Everyone else is kind of irrelevant. How do you have a team with one player?
That's true, but Braves have sort of been there for a while. What Philly's doing is, with their farm system, they're bringing it back up. They have, again,
okay,
like
maybe
I said,
they do, but the Braves have the best farm system in the minor leagues right now. So maybe the Phillies have a strong one, but the Braves have the best.
Yeah, but how has this been helping them in the last few years, though?
Well, I think that what the Braves are trying to do right now is this is their last season at Turner Field. They're building a new stadium, so the purpose is let's rebuild our team. So we go into this new stadium, we rebuild this fan base, we bring back these Braves fans. I mean, this is a team that's not used to sucking. So, I mean, this is for a franchise, you know, the Phillies, I mean, I just think that the Braves are the better choice.
The Phillies are pretty consistent losers. So so you kind of said it yourself, but how many years out do you think the Braves are before they can really start kind of working their way back into the playoffs?
I would definitely say in 1 or 2 years because their farm system is so strong right now. So they have all these pitchers. There's just stockpiling pitchers. They bring those pitchers up in the next year and they rebuild the team.
So how many years out do you think Phillies are?
I think Phillies are 2 or 3 years out right now. They brought up some new guys like Mike Franco, Aaron Nola, like I mentioned earlier. And I think as soon as those guys really get up to speed at the major league level, they can start competing with the Mets, with the Nationals, and really getting down there. And especially once Ryan Howard does retire, that'll free up a lot of money to go out, get a big name free agent, bring him in and help them.
Well, like speaking of the Mets and the Nationals, I think that's kind of what the Braves are doing. I mean, you take the Mets, you take the Astros, you take the Cubs, even the Nationals, these teams that had to be terrible before they could be a competitor for the World Series. And so last year you have these teams that were high up in the playoffs, but they had to come from this rebuilding stage, similar to what the Braves are doing right now.
Yeah, and I think Philadelphia is also on that track. They're trying to get back to coming in first place in the NL East, which they did for 4 or 5 years consistently from 2007 to 2011 before they just completely fell off the map. And I think that...
And they're going to stay off the map.
They probably are for a while, but I think they're definitely going to come back strong. They are going to keep building, and they're just going to keep going, bring some hope to Philly, maybe bring them a championship.
Well, it looks like either way, the NL East future seems kind of bright according to both of you guys. That's all the time we have for this block. Don't go anywhere as Connor heads over to the lounge to see who went out with the biggest bang.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs, just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
We here at 101 Sports hate to see some of the greatest athletes of all time retired from their respective sports. So we're going to distract ourselves. Peyton Manning, Derek Jeter, and Kobe Bryant all were at the top of their sport at one point, but have all retired in the past year. With me in the lounge is Thomas Hale, Evan Piercy, and Tyler Patchen, who discuss which of these athletes went out with the biggest bang. So, Evan, let's start with who?
I got to go the captain, Derek Jeter, going out with the biggest bang. 2 for 5, 3 RBIs, walk-off single, doing his classic inside-out to right field swing. And, you know, that entire series, he was hit 315 with 9 RBIs in his final homestand, too. Yep. Definitely went out with the biggest bang.
Thomas?
Right, I'm going to go with Peyton Manning, not because of his stat line, but obviously because he won the Super Bowl. That guy went out on top. Stat line wasn't that great, like I said, but like you can't go out with a better finish than winning the Super Bowl in your final game of your career. Come on, Peyton Manning.
All right, Tyler?
I guess I have to play devil's advocate and actually go with Kobe Bryant. In his final game, scoring 60 points, I mean, that's a bit better looking at it compared from baseball stats to basketball stats. It's a bit better than Derek Jeter, I'm sad to say. I mean, that night there was just so much fanfare and electricity behind that game. I mean, it felt like it was like the Oscars rolling themselves out. I mean, you had stars out. Snoop Dogg was there.
Kanye.
And Kanye smiled, which is very, very rare to see.
That's an achievement above all.
That's the biggest achievement.
I just want to make the point that Kobe's final game was a Kobe-esque total,
Yeah.
but a non-Kobe-esque game.
50 shots.
50 shots for 50
50
points, because he went 10 of 12 from the line, so that gives him the extra 10 to get 60.
Right.
Just Kobe should not have been Mamba out. It should have been Mamba get out of the game.
Like, that's just a ridiculous amount of shots. Jazz didn't play any defense.
Yeah,
Come on,
okay.
let's be honest. They were like, Kobe, go do whatever you want to do. Just ball
this
out.
was, I felt like, just more or less a send-off game.
Yeah.
It was to, I guess.
It was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch. It reminded us some of the good stuff to see about Kobe Bryant.
Well, how about the differences between Peyton and Derek Jeter here?
So, I mean, my thing is like, Peyton went out with the championship. Like, obviously, yeah, like I said earlier, stats were not good. He did not lead that team to the Super Bowl, but like, come on. Derek Jeter, like, their team didn't even go to the playoffs that season. Like, that was a great game, but the Super Bowl.
First or second year in his career when the Yankees did not make the playoffs, I'll give you that one, but Peyton Manning did nothing. It was his defense won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. But
His
the
defense
Super
did
Bowl.
everything.
He's a champion.
Have him go out as a champion is a nice thing. I just think actually coming up with the game-winning hit, doing something
That was really exciting.
doing something that you patented, you know, that famous inside-out swing of his. He created that.
But I think what tops the ending for Peyton Manning was there was a bigger emotional factor for both Kobe and for Derek Jeter, because we knew they were going to retire.
Yeah.
We weren't 100%
true.
certain. So both of these games had a nice emotional touch, had a great
Everyone
way
was ready for their time.
Everybody was ready, and we were glad to see it, and we were had like
we all
a little
like
bit
paid
of
our
emotion
respects
to
to him a little bit.
You
I
pay
didn't
your
like
respects.
Kobe that much throughout my years, watching him. I'm not the biggest Kobe fan, but I was like really sad to watch him go.
Yeah. I mean, because all of us here, like we grew up watching, Kobe Bryant, Peyton Manning, and Derek Jeter.
These
So
are the
it was
big names in
big
all
names.
these sports.
And the interesting thing with Kobe was he became more humane as the season went on. We saw more of who Kobe was, what he would be after basketball, which I think was so interesting. We saw that with his speech to the fans as well, the Mamba out. I mean,
that was really nice.
What better way to go out? I know you wanted Mamba get out of the game, but Mamba out was still a great way to end it. Absolutely. No matter who ended on the highest note, there's no arguing that each of these athletes had fantastic careers that we will never forget. Coming up after the break, Steven and I come back to wrap things up. It has been recently reported that wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has been spending part of his offseason helping his friend and rap superstar Drake produce his latest album, View from the Six. This begs the question, if you could choose any athlete to shack up with for the offseason, who would it be? I
want to be Dennis Rodman, but not Dennis Rodman of current day, the friend of Kim Jong-un out there.
Would be great.
I don't want to be that Dennis Rodman friend. I want to be Dennis Rodman circa 1995, 1996, when he's pulling off this wedding dress antics and all the other antics he pulled with the Bulls, because just imagine the stories you could walk away from just by sitting there and just watching Dennis Rodman be Dennis Rodman. Plus, I'm a big fan of debauchery, so I would be joining. I'd be right there next to him.
As long as your hairstyle stays the same, though. You don't change any colors of the hair.
What are you talking about? I got to go with all the colors.
Well, I went with Rob Gronkowski, and that's because why not? I mean, the guy is loved by essentially everyone who ever meets him. He has his own party ship that he parties on in the offseason. I'm a big boat guy. I'm a big water guy. I'd love to hang out with him. I can't wear the tank top like he can. I don't hit the gym as much as he does, not as much, but I'm working on it. I'm getting close, but that'd be a great guy to live with.
Question is, can you keep up with him shot for shot?
Oh, of course.
All right, tooting your own horn there a little bit. That's all the time we have for this episode of 101 Sports.
Huge thanks to the producers, crew, and talent for putting this show on, and to you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you missed anything, please make sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at 101 Sports. For all of us here at 101 Sports, thanks for watching, and as always,
whose side are you on?